So let me tell you a little bit about the history of 20. We founded the business in the same month that Lehman Brothers went bust in 2008. The business started trading in January 2009 with myself on a sofa with a laptop and a phone. Since then we've grown the company to have office locations in London, New York and soon to be Austin, Texas, with around about 70 to 80 employees today, and through next year we should break the 100 mark. The business was founded because there was a gap in the market of any company that was competently addressing all the needs of the middle to back office in any size of business. We therefore cover all of technology, finance, risk, governance, operations and change, the main areas that most businesses struggle to fulfill the contingent requirements for hiring in their companies. Most recruitment businesses of our size would focus on one of those areas in one sector. We chose to be a little bit different, and we focused on 4 specific industry sectors and from scratch grew to cover all of those market areas. So we could offer our client a full set of coverage for any requirement that they had in any infrastructure areas within their business. A lot of people ask, why is the company called 20? To answer that question, first we have to take a step back. When Paul and I set up 20, first of all we focused on what the values of the business needed to be. Now we tried to imagine what the business would be like when it had several hundred people in it, and what we wanted the company to represent at that point. This is quite tricky when there's only 2 of you. Nevertheless, we gave it our best shot. First of all, we decided that we wanted all the communication in the company to be crystal clear, both with our employees and also clients and candidates. A lot of companies in the recruitment industry and a lot of recruitment consultants have a reputation for being creative with the truth. We didn't want to have that within our business, and we wanted to be able to talk to everyone openly and honestly. So crystal clear was a very important value for us. Secondly, we wanted an ambition running through the business and to be embedded within the DNA. We thought that the value of life's short would represent this brilliantly. We wanted also to be able to convey to our candidates and clients that we understood that they wanted to deal with someone professional who wasn't going to waste their time, would get to the point and try and move every process forward as quickly as possible. So life's short became our second value. Finally, we want to work with interesting and diverse people, and we want to encourage our clients and candidates to do that too. So being eclectic was our final value. It's important for us that we work in an environment that gives the best possible chance for creative solutions to problems. And to achieve that, you need to embrace people from all sorts of different types of backgrounds. And you need to help them to work collaboratively together. This was the essential third key value for our business. When you put all of those values together, we imagined an amazing business with several hundred people working all around the world collaboratively and solving our clients' and candidates' problems. And that is what we're on the journey to trying to become. Then, we had to try and figure out a name that would match with those values. Most companies come up with their name first and then shoehorn the values in to somehow cornerly match with the name. We decided to do it differently. First of all, we wanted to try and find a name that was an empty vessel. It didn't really mean anything to anybody and give them any strong feelings one way or another to begin with. So we could inhabit that name, and eventually people would understand what our brand represented, and hopefully they would understand it represented our values within the recruitment space. Also, we wanted a name that was easy to pronounce and spell. Technically, listed companies that have a name that is easy to pronounce and spell trade with a higher value and at a higher frequency. We were imagining a future where we may be a publicly listed business, and we wanted our shares to have liquidity. Not only that, on a very basic level, we wanted to be able to communicate with every client and candidate of every nationality all over the world how to say our company name. It sounds simple, but it's not as easy as you think. Then we had to try and find a name that was easy to pronounce, easy to spell, and matched up with all our company values. That was where the challenge began. It's very difficult to find a name for a company that doesn't already exist that fit perfectly with what we wanted. In order to be able to work the business that we had won, one of the clients required us to run an advertised campaign in the Sunday Times in the UK. So we were under time pressure to come up with a name for the business. Paul and I had a short list of 10 names each, and we went through how were we going to decide on which name to choose. And it turned out that the name that matched our requirements the best was the number of other names we had on the shortlist. Hence, 20 was born. The first advert that we ran was for a client who was looking for a board level non-executive director. We ran the advert with the name 20 and figured that this would give you a really good indication of the brand stretch for the company. Everybody that applied to the advert was at a very senior level in their industry and appropriate to be a board level non-executive director. And they all felt that the name was familiar and they'd dealt with the company before. At this point, it was Paul and I on a sofa with a laptop and a phone, so obviously they hadn't, but nevertheless the brand resonated with them. So it ticked the boxes for us of being able to stretch the brand, match our values, and resonate with the candidate and client base that we were dealing with. The name stuck, and it's still with us today. Another important part of the 20 puzzle was our share option scheme. It's very important to us to enable every employee to feel like they own a piece of the business. The job of recruitment can be challenging at times, and to know that you're working constantly to increase your wealth with the value of the company was a very important part of the culture of 20 for us when we founded the business. The share option scheme enables every employee to increase their shares the more successful they are within the business. And there is another level of share options for managers that help us build teams of scale. Everybody therefore gets to benefit in the future success of 20 based on their contribution to the business from the day that they join. Now I'm going to explain to you our elevator pitch at 20. The reason we have this in the business is that everybody, wherever they are, under any circumstances, can explain the business in a nutshell to anybody who asks the question. So if you're in an elevator and someone says, "What are 20?" you can explain it very succinctly in the time it takes to move a couple of floors. So the elevator pitch is 20 operate across 4 core industry brands: financial services, digital, energy and commerce. They recruit within 3 functional areas: technology and change, risk and governance, finance and operations. And we cover 2 geographic locations: Europe from our London office and the USA from New York. Soon we'll also have an office in Austin in Texas. In addition to having to memorize that, just for fun, every month at our company meeting, we pull somebody's name out of a hat in the business and they get to recite that elevator pitch in front of the entire company. If they're successful, they get a bottle of champagne. The reason we do this is to ensure that at least once every month, everybody has refreshed their memory of what the elevator pitch is. So we know as a business that under any circumstances, we've got a very good chance of people being able to recite that verbatim and ensure that the message is delivered on brand at all times. Twenty has grown to become deliberately different. Our goal is to build a valuable global brand. This manifests itself in us needing to behave differently to other recruitment companies of the same age and size and scale, and other global recruitment companies much more mature than us. First of all, our client relationships and candidate relationships need to be based on mutual understanding and trust and last for a long period of time. You can't build a recruitment brand if you're constantly needing to find new business. We look to nurture those client relationships and build upon repeat business so we can grow with the companies together and build a valuable brand for us and contribute to building a valuable brand for them. Secondly, we teach retained search techniques to all of our contingent recruiters. When we get further into the training, we talk about where we fit within the recruitment industry. This will start to make a little bit more sense to you. But for our candidates and clients that struggle to find people with specific technical skills at the level that we operate, we have to employ different techniques to what our competitors do. Another thing that makes us unique at 20 is our investment in technology. The recruitment is a very rapidly evolving industry, and technology improvements are impacting the way that you work in the industry very dramatically and very quickly. For instance, when I started out in recruitment, I spent my time faxing CVs, and I know that makes me sound like a dinosaur, but I'm not actually that old. The way we evolved at 20 is to embrace technology rather than fear it, like a number of other recruitment companies, and we built a suite of systems that we now call the Matrix. Some of those systems are the best third-party systems available that we have then customized to make the service as best as we possibly can inside 20. A number of those systems you'll become very familiar with, and throughout the training we'll talk a lot about them, including the intranet that you're using right now, and also systems like Bullhorn, which is our CRM database. Don't worry too much about the terminology, it will come through more in the training and you'll understand it all by the time you've got to use it. In the circumstances where we come across third-party systems that don't quite do what we want them to, what we do differently at 20 versus other recruitment companies who would make do with what's available is that we built our own systems in order to be better than what is available on the market. The main one of these that you'll come across in the business is 2360, or T360 as we call it for short. This enables you to analyse and organise your time much more efficiently and has data inputs from a variety of other areas within the business. It's very unique in the way that it works. There are third-party systems that do elements of what we do in 2360, but there isn't a single other business that has the availability of information that you will do within 20 via T360. This sticks very closely to our crystal clear value in that you can see absolutely everything that's going on in the business and you can analyse your own information, both phone time and systems usage in real time to make sure that you are able to plan your day, your weeks and your success better. We believe that our investment in 20 within technology is enabling us to continue to grow the business very rapidly in the ever-changing world that we live in, and therefore it's a huge priority and everyone is involved in its continued success. And now take a look at this clip from the movie Moneyball. There's an awful lot of parallels between what happened in the evolution of running baseball teams to what's also happening now in the evolution of recruitment. Here you'll see the old guard's methods being replaced by the application of science and data analytics. That's effectively what we're asking you to do in recruitment. We now have much more information and access to real-time data than previous recruiters used to. And we're looking to teach you how to analyze that data to ensure that you're performing at a greater and higher success rate than previous recruiters would have done. The parallel with baseball, they go on to compete for the World Series. Here we're looking at can you become consistently efficient using the same kinds of methodology to perform above expectations in recruitment.
There is an epidemic failure within the game to understand what is really happening. And this leads people who run Major League Baseball teams to misjudge their players and mismanage their teams. I apologize.
Go on.
Okay, people who run ball clubs, they think in terms of buying players. Your goal shouldn't be to buy players, your goal should be to buy wins. And in order to buy wins, you need to buy runs. You're trying to replace Johnny Damon. The Boston Red Sox see Johnny Damon and they see a star who's worth $7.5 million a year. When I see Johnny Damon, what I see is an imperfect understanding of where runs come from. The guy's got a great glove. He's a decent leadoff hitter. He can steal bases, but is he worth the $7.5 million a year that the Boston Red Sox are paying him? No. Baseball thinking is medieval. They are asking all the wrong questions. And if I say it to anybody, I'm ostracized. I'm a leper, so that's why I'm cagey about this with you. That's why I respect you, Mr. Bean, and if you want full disclosure, I think it's a good thing that you got Damon off of your payroll. I think it opens up all kinds of interesting possibilities.
Where are you from, Pete?
Maryland.
Where'd you go to school?
Yale. I went to Yale.
What'd you study?
Economics. I studied economics.
Yale, economics, and baseball. You're funny, Pete.
Now let me explain to you the format of the training so you know what to expect when you arrive in the business. From weeks 1 to 4, we'll concentrate on the basic competencies of recruitment to enable you to successfully contribute to the business. This will be mainly focused around candidate sourcing techniques, and your ability to use the phone. Weeks 5 to 8 will be spent refining these techniques and teaching you how to search for candidates, how to headhunt candidates, and how to influence them through the entire recruitment process. Weeks 8 to 13 will then be spent focused on introducing you to client development and business development, including explaining to you how you should run and organise client meetings and how you can influence what a client is looking for and encourage them to flex their specs to make the job search easier. Through weeks 8 to 10, we'll typically have helped you decide which market, which vertical, and whether or not you're going to be a permanent or contract recruiter. And the remainder of your training from weeks 8 to 10 onwards will be spent within the teams that we think is the right match for you to test that we've got it correct before you continue your career on as a consultant. I want to explain to you the cycle of learning so you know what to expect and also what we expect of you when you arrive. When you join the business, you'll be blissfully ignorant about what you do and you don't know. We call this phase being unconsciously incompetent. Very quickly, as you surround yourself with your peers in the business and the seniors who are going to help you to learn how to do the job, you'll become consciously incompetent. This will probably induce a state of mild panic as you realise the amount of things that you don't know and exactly what you've got to learn. Our job is to quickly evolve you through elements of the training to make sure you become consciously competent at each element of the training that we're delivering to you. i.e., you can do it, you really have to think about it. During this phase of your training, you'll probably go home mentally exhausted every day. Don't worry, it gets easier. The next phase that you get to with each element of the training is that you become unconsciously competent. You can react to various situations as you encounter them, and it's a natural reaction, just the same as it is when you breathe or you walk. You know how to handle the situation, and you don't need to think quite so much in order to execute whatever is thrown at you competently. We go over this cycle over and over again, and through each week we introduce you to new steps within the recruitment process. Each time it'll be a new skill for you to learn, and we will coach you and teach you through all the stages until you're consciously competent, and over time we'll move you to being unconsciously competent. Don't think that's the end of it though, because as soon as you get good at becoming a recruitment consultant and you know how to do it like you're breathing, we then move you on to becoming a manager and the training starts all over again. We're trying to do this as quickly as possible so we can scale the business, but we'll also work at your pace as long as you're continuously making a huge effort. That is all we ask at this stage. We expect you to arrive with very little knowledge of anything to do with recruitment or any of the sectors that we operate in. We require you though to make a huge and consistent effort. That is your part in progressing quickly. How we measure this is against a set of targets that I'll explain to you in a second and compare you against your peers. This manifests itself in a fun competition that we have every week for Rookie of the Week, which will be announced every week on a meeting on Friday afternoon, and the Rookie of the Week is presented with a trophy. This might sound insignificant to begin with, but rest assured if you haven't won it, I guarantee you'll want to win it the following week. And sooner or later it will be your turn, as long as you keep making that effort. Now I'm going to explain the targets that we're expecting you to strive to hit when you join the business. First of all, I want to acknowledge that our targets are probably more aggressive than other recruitment companies that you may join as a rookie. We are trying to instill a be the best culture, and it's our aim to help you through this training process to embed the habits of a work ethic that's going to enable you to be more successful than your compatriots in the industry. So to begin with, we're looking at the number of calls that you make in a week. We're looking at you making an outbound effort of 100 calls a day or 500 calls during the week. This, if you're succeeding, should result in a call time of around about 2 hours per day or 10 hours per week outbound. There are also inbound calls. We don't target you on these because they're not within your control, and we're looking at the effort that we know that you're making rather than how you're reacting to things throughout the training period. What that results in, it should be around 50 CVs coming into the business per week, or resumes for our American friends, and around about 10 per day, so you get to 50 during the week. If we're doing this correct and we're sourcing the right kind of candidates for the jobs that are available in the business, that should enable you to get around about 15 CVs per week sent to live jobs of 3 per day. This should result in 5 first interviews, which when you drop down to a monthly basis would result in 2 deals. So that's 5 first interviews per week, or 1 per day, would result in 2 deals per month. Now if you were hitting all of those targets consistently, you would hit 2 deals per month. However, throughout the training, as you're learning various different things, it becomes challenging to hit every one. You'll probably find when you first arrive, you're able to hit the number of calls, but as the job becomes more complex, the call time stays high, but the volume of calls becomes more challenging. However, the results that you're getting should be improving as you become more competent at the job. What we're looking for throughout the training is that you don't necessarily hit every target every week, but we have a week that is balanced. This is very important for when you move on to the desk, because you're going to start to juggle more and more activities in your role. It's important that we're getting successes and we're putting the effort in the right places so that you have a balanced week. Where you'll be measured against your peers is all of that information gets written up on a board for your specific office, and at the end of the week you are compared to see who has had the best overall week. In addition to the targets that I've just mentioned, we'll also be measuring your increase in LinkedIn connections. It's very important in this role that you're producing both a real network of candidates you've met and an increasing virtual network of candidates that you can search on social media. LinkedIn is our primary tool for this, so we'll be measuring the gains that you get on your network each week. Quite simply, you need to be inviting everybody that you speak to on a daily basis to connect with you on LinkedIn, and we'll measure those and compare the growth for everyone in the business. In addition to LinkedIn, we'll also be having periods of the training where we engage in role plays and create situations like internal interviews where there is a scoring system to see how competent you're becoming at the skill before we let you loose on real people. Throughout this process, again, you'll be scored in comparison to your peers, and then after you've got competent at the role plays, we introduce you to doing an interview alongside someone else, so they guide you through the process until you're let loose on your own. Also, these video training sessions will be accompanied in many instances with a quiz at the end. We'll be totaling up your scores through the process to see who is taking on the information the best, and also then analysing that compared with the results you're getting in the week to see who is performing the best. The reason why it's important for you to continue to make an effort all the way through this process and be switched on as much as possible is that all of this information is then available to the managers within the business. Whilst it is your choice which team you move into, you also want a manager from each team to be excited about you joining them. So you want your efforts to be measured and your achievements to be as good as or better than all of your peers. That way the manager in each team will be excited about having you into their team, and they'll be motivated to continue to invest in your training moving forward. Let me also explain to you what your day will look like throughout the training process. So every morning, we start the morning with your local MD or a subject matter expert in your local office going through the news that you've found that day and stories that relate to the industries that we operate in. What we're trying to do here is fill in your education on your understanding of the markets that we operate in. So if it's historical impacts of financial services that are causing stories to happen today, we'll go back through the process of how we got there, explain to you what's happening, and also hopefully we're going to get to the point where we're finding out information that generates commercially valuable leads for the business. We'll then check if those companies are on our system and provide that information to the relevant consultants in the business so they can then go on and chase those leads to see if we can win new business off the back of the information that we find collectively in the stories from the morning. In the UK, we tend to use a newspaper called City AM. In the US, use a variety of websites. And now, with our intranet and our websites, News Scoops, if you can't find an appropriate story, you could always look on there where we amalgamate all the news that's relevant to each sector. Following going through the news, to begin with in the first few weeks, you'll be working through lists of candidates on our system that have previously applied to roles but nobody's spoken to for a while. You'll be calling them to do candidate regeneration, as in to see if any of them are still looking for opportunities and want to resubmit their CVs to us, resumes for America, to see if we can help them find new roles. We'll also be teaching you how to extract commercial information from these candidates, future business leads, and also referrals of other candidates that could be right for roles that we're working. As you progress through the training, you'll move on to creating your own lists to call based on search criteria that match up with jobs that we're searching for within the business. You'll rotate through the teams within the business and the specialist vertical markets, and you'll be creating searches to find candidates that are right for those roles. As you do that, you become much more interactive with the consultants in the business, and you treat those consultants as your clients. That way you're learning to influence how the client reacts to your CVs and whether or not they're going to get put forward for the jobs. This teaches you both the candidate sourcing elements of the role and also introduces you to the interaction with the clients. When you move onto a desk in a team, your day will become more complex. You'll still be sourcing candidates for the roles that we're working, but you'll also be advertising for roles, and you'll move into business development and meeting clients as well as candidates. So typically you'll break your day down into two, morning and an afternoon slot, and you'll try and again get a balance to your day. So you'll need to be working candidate activities and client activities in the day. You need to split your day in accordance with the advice from your line manager about how best to create that balance in the market that you're in. As you go through each day, again, what we're looking for is a balanced week. So you have responsibilities for client development and candidate sourcing, and we look to make sure that we create a balance of those every week so that we can build consistently. So in order to illustrate further for you how you may feel during the training progress at 20, I've included a clip for you to take a look at from the classic 80s movie Karate Kid. As you'll find as you go through the recruitment process, you may question why and how you are doing certain elements of the training as you become consciously competent at each individual skill. In this clip, you'll see how Daniel miraculously becomes a karate expert after focusing on waxing Mr. Miyagi's car and painting his fence. Now, whilst the training process at 20 may be slightly less entertaining than this Hollywood clip, the outcome is marginally more believable that you will become an expert recruiter than Daniel becomes a karate black belt. Nevertheless, enjoy.
Training.
I'm what? I'm being your goddamn slave is what I'm being, man. Now, we made a deal here.
So?
So you're supposed to teach and I'm supposed to learn, remember? For 4 days, I've been busting my ass. I haven't learned a goddamn thing.
You learned plenty.
I learned plenty. I learned how to sand your decks, maybe. I wax your car, paint your house, paint your fence. I learned plenty, right?
Not everything is as same.
Oh, bullshit. I'm going home, man.
Daniel-san! Daniel-san!
What?
Come here. Show me sand the floor.
I can't move my arm, all right? What are you doing? What are you... Ow! Ow, what are you doing?
Now show me sand the floor.
How did you do that?
Shut up!
Sand the floor.
Hey, stand up. Show me sand the floor. Sand the floor. Sand the floor. Big sucker, sand the floor. Sand the floor. Yes. Now show me wax on, wax off. Hey.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off. Hey, wax on, hot. Wax off, hot. Concentrate. Look at my eye. Lock a hand. Thumb inside. Wax on, hot. Wax off, hot. Wax on, hot. Wax off, hot. Wax on. Wax off. Push. Show me paint the fence. Up, down. Up, down, up, down. Other side. Look eye. Always look eye. Show me paint the house. Side, side. Lock wrist. Side, side. Side, side. Yes. Show me wax on, wax off. Hit! That! Show me paint the fence. Yes! Show me side to side. Yes! Show me sand or floor. Yes! Oi. Look, I always look, I.